Hopefully y'all can hear me okay. Welcome to the channel. I guess I might as well just start out with just, giving a little bit of information about myself. My name is Andrew Stone. I was a Division I athlete at the University of Wisconsin-Madison for the past 6 years. I'm freshly out of that. I had my last track meet as a collegiate athlete about maybe 2 months ago or so. And now we're on the other side. So it's been a long journey. I definitely had a lot of, injuries and stuff like that over the course of my time. I've had pec injuries, I've had bicep injuries, strains, tears, hamstrings, you name it. Any sort of soft tissue injury you can possibly think of, I probably had it. You feel me? So it was tough. I enjoyed it. I had a pretty good career, obviously, despite the injuries and stuff like that. But I enjoyed my time there at the university, for sure. I was a track and field athlete. I did shot put, and I also did discus, and now I'm starting up this channel to document my weight loss journey. Just going from out of shape to fit. I'm just trying to document everything with y'all and just kind of give you guys a little bit of insight into how I'm doing this and hold myself accountable as well. Just help really see my progress and really see my journey. And I think YouTube is a great platform for that. Just being able to document stuff like that. And I also have shorter platform places also, like Instagram and stuff like that. But I kind of want to keep all those platforms more for like the actual transformation. Like once all this is said and done, I want to use Instagram and stuff like that to really show the before and after, rather than doing consistent updates and stuff like that on my Instagram. So yeah, that's a little bit about myself. I'm excited to start out on this journey. YouTube is something that I've kind of wanted to do for a long time. And for those of you that know me personally, there's only a few that would know, but way back in the day, I was already making YouTube videos, like way back in the day. Like I'm talking like elementary school days. I would film random stuff. It could be airsoft, football, basketball, baseball, whatever. I was already filming, editing, skateboarding. I was doing the whole process, right? I would take my dad's laptop and I would be editing. I would take my dad's laptop and I would be editing videos and stuff. I'm talking, I was young, like super young, and I was already editing stuff on his laptop, right? So the whole YouTube thing, like I'm not necessarily new to it, but I just didn't really want to continue to kind of pursue that because I've always been the kind of person where I kind of like to quote unquote keep things quiet, you know what I mean? So rather than me putting stuff, posting stuff online front and center to give people updates on what I'm doing, I would have rather just not really said much when it came to sports and stuff like that. So I didn't really want to draw any more attention to myself by posting stuff on YouTube. So that's kind of the reason why I never really pursued it earlier until now, being done with sports. But yeah, so I'm excited for it. So something about track and field is, especially when you're a thrower, mainly a shot putter, you got to be really heavy, right? Like you got to be, if you're 260, 270, like how I was, you're on the light side of the competition, right? Like almost every time that I competed, I was almost always the lightest body weight dude in the field. So every nationals that I ever went to, the 2 indoors that I got to go to, I was by far the lightest person there. Sometimes I would say by like 15 pounds plus, right? So for a little bit of extra context, like when I was doing track, for me to be around body weights of the people that I was having to compete against, I was having to push my body harder than most, right? Because unlike others, or like my teammates or whatever, or some teammates, a lot of my teammates were naturally like bigger bone people, you feel me? So it wasn't difficult for them to be bigger, it wasn't difficult for them to be, heavier. But for me, naturally, I'm not really supposed to be super big. So for me to be big, it not only took a little bit more but for me to be big myself, it took a lot more calories to go in. It wasn't something where I could just naturally eat when I'm hungry and I could get really heavy, right? Like when I would eat a lot, quote unquote, my body would kind of max out around that 280 range, like maybe even like a 285 or something like that. But I wasn't really somebody that was able to hold really heavy body weights easily. My body struggled, right? And again, a lot of other people that I was teammates with, or that I was competing against, it was no problem for them to be 280, 290, 300 plus. You know what I mean? So for me, it was always more of a struggle to be at those bigger weights and maintain them. And especially from like a health standpoint, I've dealt with and still dealing with a lot of health issues kind of surrounding my body weight, right? Like my blood pressure spiking up, my like GERD, stuff like that, acid reflux, sleep apnea even, so I had all these things that I was kind of dealing with, that I was struggling with as a Division I athlete, trying to push my body weight to a level that probably wasn't the most healthy, you feel me? So now on the other side of that, I can just focus on trying to get healthy, you know what I mean? Trying to get fit, trying to clean up all those things, that I was just talking about, and just trying to truly like heal my body from like the inside out. So I'm excited for that journey, and I'm excited to finally be able to fully, go into this, because like when I was in college, I had a really bad cycle of going in and out of dirty bulks and cuts, and I never really got really solid progress that way, because what would kind of happen was during the season, in track and field, it's just kind of like a never-ending bulk, right? A never-ending dirty bulk. Like everyone just eats whatever they want. Every time you go to track meets, you're around all this delicious food. You can't. It's difficult to be disciplined when you're in a different state with different types of foods that you've never had before. You go to Cali, you want to try a California food truck or something, or you go to Philly, you want to get a cheesesteak, just stuff like that. Just that was tough, right? That was tough to be disciplined. So for years, I would just kind of eat random stuff, and just, again, like my physique wasn't really where I wanted it to be. My strength numbers and stuff were always good, but from a physique standpoint, those were always less than ideal years. And then what would happen would be in the summer, and like, mind you, track and field, it's not about your physique, right? So I was doing what I needed to do from a performance standpoint, you know what I mean? Trying to get in the best shape that I could, but like, it's not about shape, it's about how far can you throw this ball, right? So it really, again, it's not about your physique. So I was so focused on my performance, which is what you should do as an athlete, right? I was just so focused on the performance aspect of it that I wasn't really tripping on nothing else. And then the summers would kind of hit, and I would look at my physique and I'd be like, bro, like I'm not where I really want to be right now. You know what I mean? Like I would be like, man, this isn't really the physique that I had pictured myself to have. And I think a lot of athletes, but especially, any thrower watching this can probably, relate to this. Like sometimes you look in the mirror and you're like, bro, I don't really have the physique that I want at all. But again, our sport's not about your physique. You know what I mean? So you got to be able to erase that thought process out of your head and just be like, bro, our sports, this is not what our sport's about. It doesn't matter if you look sloppy. Like, you gotta go and throw. You know what I mean? But listen, like, the way that your physique looks is a big part of, you know, your confidence and everything like that. So you can't just, it's difficult to just completely ignore it. You know what I mean? When you got to look at yourself in the mirror every day. So yeah, like, that was tough, right? But as I was saying, like, then I would get to the summertime and I would be like, man, I'm trying to cut. I'm trying to get rid of all this excess weight. And I only had 2 or 3 months to do it. So then, me not being educated on how to properly execute a cut during that time, I would just crash diet. You feel me? I would just crash diet. Just basically, like, barely eat anything. I mean, I would try to get my protein in, but I was just doing it, again, the complete wrong way. And as a result, you know, couple of those times, like, I never really completely shriveled up per se. I didn't necessarily lose all my gains, but I definitely lost a decent amount of muscle. And you know, I would get down into those low 240s and I would feel great, but then I knew I had to get right back up. You know what I mean? So I was in that cycle of, like, man, dirty bulk in the season would end, look in the mirror, be just like disappointed, cut, and then have to do it all over again and have to gain weight again for the next season. You know, so that's just not the way that's not healthy, right? It's not healthy for anybody to be operating like that. So, but unfortunately, that's how I was operating. You know what I mean? That's how I was operating for a long time. So now I just kind of want to document me doing it the right way, you know, and actually being able to do it the right way because I'm done competing, right? So I can do my cut, I can execute a cut and stretch it out and have no timeline to have to get back up and wait for any sort of competition. That's really been, like, the best feeling about this whole process, is knowing that, hey, I can do this cut, but I don't gotta gain 30 pounds, you know, coming up in the next, really this month, right? Like, in the previous years, it's July 31st today. If this was a regular year that I had to compete, this would be around the time that if my body weight was a little bit lighter, this would be around the time that I would have to ramp my food right back up and just start killing shit, just fading everything in sight. Like, this would be around the time right now, because that's just kind of what it is. Like, if I had a month left, I mean, I remember last year around this time, I was like in like a panic. I was like, man, I'm 243. I got to be competing around 260. You know what I mean? So obviously I had time, but like it psychs you out mentally when, you know, you're 20 pounds away from where you know you got to be. Like, so just not having that anxiety no more is huge. You know, not having that anxiety around body weight and numbers and all that stuff, and just, again, a forever cut, really, right? Like, so that's awesome. So just being able to document this, any of y'all that want to subscribe and watch this journey, thank you. You know, I appreciate it. I appreciate, you know, the support. It means the world. You know, like I said before, this YouTube stuff, I've been interested in YouTube since I was a young kid. Like, something that I've always wanted to really do. You know, just didn't really put that time into it. But again, something that I've wanted to do for a while. We're about 3 minutes from the gym, guys. Sorry if I'm kind of rambling. Honestly, it's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to start this channel, really, is just to kind of have a place to share my thoughts, have a place to kind of, I don't want to say vent, but, you know, anything on my mind, I can just kind of speak it out to y'all and, you know, get that message out there, whatever it may be. So I might do some talking during the workout. I might not. We'll see. I might just do a quick little edit. But it just kind of depends on what the audio is like in there. Because if the mic is picking up a bunch of the music, then it's probably not going to make sense to really film in there, or to try to speak in there. But I'll see you guys in there. Yeah. What's up, guys? Welcome to the workout portion of this video. Today we got back squats, leg extensions, and hack squats just to burn it out at the very end. For some added context, I had a calf injury that I sustained like about 2 weeks ago, so I haven't been able to squat for about 2 weeks or so. And I was still doing like leg extensions and stuff like that, but I wasn't able to actually get under a squat bar. So this is my first squat session back for a little bit. I also, during my season, this past season, I had a really bad disc related lower back injury that shot a pins and needles sensation shooting up my spine and had me kind of permanently hunched over, or at least temporarily hunched over for like a good 20-30 seconds. So very, very scary incident there. Had to go to the chiropractor for many, many weeks. But I'm starting to feel a little bit better now, but there's still that like mental block of not wanting to go too heavy with this movement, just because I'm worried that I might do something else to my back, because when I did hurt my back, I had really solid form. It was a 365 front squat, and my form was not compromised, and that still happened to my back. So being very cautious with it, and honestly, now that I'm done doing collegiate sports, I don't really think I'm going to be pushing the weight super crazy anyway. And if you guys are also wondering why my hands are super wide here, is because during the years of my track and field career, as I was mentioning earlier, when I had that left pec and left bicep injury, you guys are probably noticing a slight theme here of injury that kind of plagued my entire career. I noticed that when I would grip narrow, when I would do back squats, it was causing a super uncomfortable stretch in my left outer pec and a little bit in my left bicep. So I had to widen out my grip. I learned that widening out my grip was helping take off some of that stress and tension off of those areas that are now filled and basically filled up with a bunch of really stiff scar tissue. And if you guys know anything about scar tissue, it likes predictable, slow and controlled movement. It does not like to be explosively stretched, and it also does not like to be overstretched, right? So when I put my hands a little bit too close, it tends to flare that up, and then tends to also manifest itself into a slight pec strain that then puts me out of service and I can't do any upper body lift. So had to make that compromise. It's kind of tough, as you can see there. I have to kind of like shift my hands in at the very last second just to rack it. So it's kind of annoying. And that's honestly why I've been doing a lot more Smith machine squats, just because I don't have to really deal with that. And there's a little bit less like room for messing that up. So, or I should say a little less chance that I'm going to screw that up and, maybe pinch my finger or something like that. So yeah. And then after this, we move on to the leg extensions, and for that, I normally keep the reps high, or at least start high. The first 2 sets I did 15. The last 2 sets I did 10 to 12. And by the last 1 or 2, I think I had the stack basically fully maxed out. I think I had 2 or 3 notches left until the stack was fully maxed out. And then we ended off with some hack squats. Trying to burn the legs out at this point. I think the back squats are a great way to kind of prime your legs for a movement like this, where you kind of already get the blood flow going a little bit by doing the back squats, and then by the time you add in these, and you really, really exhaust your legs, like you don't really got a whole lot left. So also, if you guys are wondering, I'm not really doing a lot of specific hamstring work besides incline walking, because I've had a lot of hamstring strains as well, again, injury. So that's why I can't do as much of that. And then here's the hack squat. At this point, I'm completely burnt out, and this is just to kind of finish off my legs. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. There's going to be a lot better production and a lot better editing coming up. Just kind of wanted to get you guys a general overview of just kind of who I am. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and everything that I was kind of speaking on today, and I'll see you in the next one.